Welcome back to Grapevine, Texas.
No, it's Vine, Texas. I thought we said there were no more grapes.
Oh, that's right. We killed the grapes. It's just Vine, Texas, here at the 2024 annual ATI Super Conference. By the way, I think this might be the 21st or second Super Conference.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
I've been to 20, and I know I missed the first year I started, I missed that conference, and I think there might have bin one or two before that. So we're somewhere in the low 20 range.
Did they have cell
There's a
phones
guy.
back then?
Maybe. I don't know.
I just messed with you.
I think we had cans and cords, and we just kind of, the longer the cord, the further you reach kind of thing. But anyway, so it's great to be here at the Gaylord. This place is huge.
Yep.
If you haven't been to a Gaylord, it's a city in and of itself.
Yeah.
I
I mean, everything's bigger in Texas.
well, that's what they say anyway.
Yep.
So I'm joined here by Jason Patel, ATI coach, Keith Manage, collision director here at ATI. Oh, by the way, I'm Jeff
Yes.
Berman, ATI coach as well and instructor. And we're joined here by Chris Fraser from TLS Motorworks in Chamblee, Georgia.
Got it.
Did I get that right?
Yes.
Woo, it was a moment I wasn't sure, but I got it. Chamblee, Georgia. So Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely glad to be on.
And were you here by volunteer, or was your arm twisted?
It was
No,
volunteer.
I wanted to do it.
You wanted to?
Yeah.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you here. I think what you have to share is going to be really cool. So give us a little bit about you and what got you into this and why you're here today.
Yeah, I've been in the automotive industry since I was about 16 through high school and college, and kind of fell in love with it, and always wanted to own my own business. So I ended up partnering up with Kenny, who's my business partner now. And he started TLS about 9 months before I got on. And we're here now.
How long has it been?
We're going on 4 years in July.
Oh, okay. All right.
Awesome.
Wow. Well, and what are some of the things that you guys do at TLS?
So we're a Japanese and hybrid specialty shop, as well as starting kind of into the Tesla market.
The end.
No,
Well, thanks for coming, Chris.
family-owned business.
Yeah.
Pretty involved in the community. Try to do really, really good work, good customer service. And just try to provide people with something different than kind of what the dealerships and the rest of the industry is providing. That was really the big driving, motivating factor to want to get in business together. Was to, I came from the dealership world, and
Okay, so you were at a dealership at
Yeah.
first. Okay, and what were you doing at the dealership?
I was running a reconditioning center. So it was a service center, or it was a mechanical and body repair facility.
Okay. All right.
So it was all the internal work.
Oh, Keith it up.
Keith his eyes just went, whoa, we got a collision guy.
Finally,
Yeah,
he's like
everybody
all these mechanicals. Finally got some collision. No, but that's awesome. So, and were you always in that Atlanta area?
Same area.
Okay,
Still in the same 1 square mile.
so you're very familiar with the whole area, and then
Yes.
joining TLS was like one of the things that you saw as a lot of opportunity, right?
I did. I mean, I had always kind of told myself that I wanted to go into business with my business partner because I had known him for a long time, and he was just a good guy and ran a really good operation, before we partnered up. So
So you were friends.
yeah, we were friends. Yeah, it was more of a he ran a shop that did all of our outsourced mechanical work.
Oh,
Okay.
So at Honda, we could only do so much in our reconditioning facility, so we would outsource it to a smaller shop.
Tell us a little bit more about the reconditioning piece of the business.
What do you want to know?
Well, I just kind of curious to what extent.
So it was the dealership had two body shops. They had a regular body shop, and then they had one that was just for Progressive. So we took the Progressive building over. It was probably, don't quote me on this, I don't know, 10,000 square feet, something like that.
Okay.
3 paint booths, 10 body stations, frame machine, 8 lifts. So it was a pretty big operation, 4 detail bays.
And you don't see yourself going in that direction now?
No,
Okay.
I don't. I had enough of the body world.
It's tough.
It is.
you just shot Keith down. He was like, oh man.
No, it was good. I mean, it was a good operation. Don't get me wrong, but I like the mechanical side a lot better.
A lot less aggravation.
A lot less moving parts. Cars get in and out quicker. Easier to find technicians.
And you don't have to deal with third-party
Third-party
payers.
I
knew that was coming.
That's the
No, that's great. But I think one of the things that you talked about was you emphasized the word specialty when you said TLS Motorworks.
Yes.
So specialty, it can mean a lot of things, right? Everybody can specialize in some way in their shops. But what is specialty? Why is that important to you?
Being able to focus on just a couple things and get really, really good at them. So we do Japanese hybrids and electric cars. When it comes to parts, we have pretty much what we need in the shop or have a rough idea of what we need. It's a lot easier to flip through catalogs for one type of vehicle than every vehicle on the road. And then as well, I mean, the big thing is diagnosing and doing the work, right? I mean, we got one guy that can knock out hybrid batteries in half time,
Wow.
Versus book time. So that helps a lot with efficiencies and productivity and stuff like that. But I couldn't imagine not specializing.
Ooh, that's a take right there. Any of you guys have any thoughts on not specializing?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So he said that he couldn't like what he just said about, how could you not specialize?
Right.
Right. So, there's a lot of shop owners that do not want to specialize at all. They'd rather do anything that comes in through the door.
Yeah, I think that's going to be changing because even to buy parts, you're going to have certifications. So it really is going to push you into those, like we talked before, the niche market vehicles. As you have right now, if I want to work on a Jaguar and I'm in a body shop, I can't order the structural components for a Jaguar.
Oh.
You have to be a certified facility to be able to buy those parts. And you're starting to see that Honda with their Pro First program. You've got a lot of those that are happening. So I think over time, you're going to see more specialty shops than you are just fully independent shops.
I would also say that you got to be careful what you specialize in. So as an example, 20 years ago, you might have specialized in Saab. How you doing right
Well,
now?
I mean, that's putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Well, I
I
understand
mean,
that.
I'd be hard pressed to
But
think
you might have also done Peugeot. I mean, think about it, what it looked like in those days. And it's funny, those people that I know that were Saab shops with those types of, cars that they worked on, they loved them. I'd gladly give it to them
they
myself.
can have all of them.
but they loved them, and that's great because we needed people to do them. But over time, as that market started to shrink, they weren't willing to give it up. It was crazy to me. There's still plenty of people that drive them, and there's people that might be listening to this. But what market is out there for that now? It's just shrinking more and more and more until there's nothing left. So being in a niche market is, I think, really, really important. But it's also important to recognize the value of the niche that you have. So yes, the whole idea of, I'll fix every car, I won't have to worry. The truth is, you can't fix every car in your community.
No.
Right? So becoming a specialty in some way gives you credibility, gives you coverage, or what's the word I'm looking for? Visibility in a very different way. And it makes you more the professional. I mean, that's what makes the dealer in some way that niche. People actually, to some degree, believe the car was built in the back lot, right? Because they're the dealer, right? And I think being a niche really provides that for you as well.
So then what I heard a lot of was, you need to specialize, just don't over specialize. And I think you were kind of pointing to that a second ago, where you're like, because I do only BMWs, and he's.
Well, I mean, I would assume that if business was tough, you'd probably take in some Mercedes.
Exactly.
Or if business was tough, you would take in something else.
Yeah, I'm not going to take a Volkswagen. I don't care about that. I'm not taking any Volkswagens in.
Wow.
Look, it's still made in Germany. Audi?
No, it's still Volkswagen.
I understand. That's why I asked.
I'll probably take a Lamborghini. That's fine. We'll go that far.
Look at you.
No, but to your point, right? And you guys you're a specialty shop,
Yes.
but you're not overly specialized, right? You're still doing all of the Japanese makes and models, which we know. I mean, that there's a lot of them out there.
Sure.
But then you also added another component onto it, the whole hybrid aspect. And now you're bringing on the EV aspect. And I mean, where are you in terms of the whole EV aspect?
Sure. So, I mean, we got to back up a little bit to the hybrid part
Okay.
of it. So we started with the hybrids and before TLS opened, which was a shop Kenny was running. It was a hybrid specialty shop. That's how it all kind of came about in about 2011, 12. So they started doing every single hybrid on the market, figuring out what to work on, what not to work on. And then that transitioned into kind of the EV space.
Okay.
So we're still kind of in the beginning stages. We've done some of the Tesla, training classes, quite a few of them, getting signed up to buy parts from Tesla. And then a couple hybrid training classes and Leaf training classes and stuff like that.
So it's Japanese hybrids or hybrids in general.
It's right now it's Japanese hybrids and then Teslas, however you want to classify
Okay.
what Tesla is.
So as far as the Tesla aspect, right? Because Tesla, Jeff referred to it as a gateway drug earlier.
It is. Yes.
That was behind the scenes.
It's fine. It works. It works, right? Because now there's a new EV popping up every day, right? And you mentioned Rivian earlier, right? So there's more and more Rivians
Yes.
coming out. Now we have the whole Kia EV, their whole series coming out. So I mean, you're really just breaking that barrier of entry by getting into Tesla first.
Correct.
So one of the things that you said, the main thing that you guys are focusing on still is just the training aspect
Yes.
and getting certifications. Now, what does that process look like?
I would say, I mean, you can pay a bunch of money and, have the Tesla factory scan tool, but I don't think that that's going to make anybody money similar to buying a calibration setup and not knowing how to use it. I mean, we've rented quite a few Teslas and pulled them in the shop and worked on them and looked at them and driven them and then just doing all the training classes. So just kind of getting our feet wet and bringing the cars in and trying things. But I know each of the training classes has provided, these are not maintenance-free cars. They still need work. They still break, contrary to what the customers believe, that's been the toughest part of entering the market.
Yeah.
Is every Tesla that comes in doesn't need anything, even though the control arm's broken.
You know, the Teslas have an oil filter on them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people don't understand.
Well,
it.
they have some small engine.
It's just for the drive
Right.
motor, right? So
Right.
there's a
It's
filter
got
on
fluid
that.
and filter,
Exactly, and
but they haven't released the parts and part numbers yet.
exactly.
So to that point, I'm curious. So as a general automotive shop, let's say I don't want to do the electric part of a Tesla. What is available to me as a general automotive shop on a Tesla that I could actually work on without any other training, without any other equipment?
I would say suspension and tires are going to be your
I
big
was
ones,
hoping
and,
you'd say
and
tires.
filters. But tires is the big one. That's really what we're trying to, we're not only have we utilized kind of ATI with building our tire program, but building it towards Teslas because of, how the type of tires they need. I mean, they're not cheap.
And they go through them.
Oh, yeah.
They're so much heavier. They're burning up tires a lot faster.
Mhm.
They are.
Yeah.
And most of them are not repairable because they've got that foam
Yep.
thing in the middle, kind of like a Rolls Royce.
What about like cooling systems and things like that?
Not super familiar with that yet. Haven't seen enough of them. I mean, we're just now seeing Teslas at the 70 to 100,000 mile mark. So we're not really seeing any of those problems yet. And that's a question we get asked a lot. Are you seeing this? Well, cars are
Not yet.
not yet.
Yeah.
We might,
Right.
we are. I mean, the closest thing to that, not that it matters, is the HEPA filters and the cabin filters and the air filters, whatever you want to call them, depending on the model.
And this is also like, we're talking about just Tesla and talking about all the specialty and all this. I think from a marketing standpoint for any kind of shop that has some kind of specialty, I honestly think it becomes easier. I mean, instead of, you're marketing to all these, trying to get all these other makes and models in here, now you can target specific keywords.
Sure.
You can target SEO. You can go to specific events that are related to that niche that you're in. I mean, you're honing in your focus, but you're opening up the doors so much wider.
You don't need as much tooling, you
Yeah.
specialized training.
I think the biggest challenge, though, is you've got a customer that's got a very different expectation in the repair process than you do with your normal vehicle, especially with the EVs. They don't realize that regenerative braking and things like that are going to cause problems much sooner than you would have in a traditional car. And so the difference between an ICE vehicle and the EV, they're hugely different. And the customer, remember I said earlier, setting expectations with the customer it's a whole different ball of wax.
And the customer experience is going to be completely different,
Sure.
right? Because, and this even goes just within y'all shop, right? You guys have the EV crowd is usually, not stereotyping or generalizing, but usually they are more technologically friendly. They want to have more of that convenience. They want to be able to do everything through the app. If they can get the appointment booked through the app, get the car checked in, get all the pictures right through one spot. When the car is ready, they get another notification right on the app, and then they're ready to go, right? And that same principle doesn't usually apply to other makes and models, right? So we have to kind of start differentiating how we're, using this whole customer experience. And what are some of the ways that you guys are planning on kind of, attacking that aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right in that it is a different customer, but it's still the same process. When they come in, you've got to prepare them for what are we doing? How do we do it?
Exactly.
This isn't a 15-minute oil change place. This is what we do. Explain the inspection process, explain the benefits, the warranty, because that generation wants to know their warranty, is there financing available? And then they want transparency. So, with digital vehicle inspections, good descriptions, pictures that make sense, even to go the extra step and circle and highlight things in the photo so that you're not attaching a photo of the other side of the car and you're saying, oh, the rear main seal's leaking. Well, there's oil all over the car, so where's it leaking from? So doing that, and I think the big thing that I kind of go back and forth on is giving the customer the ability to approve stuff on their own. Okay. Giving them the opportunity, giving them enough information and presenting the estimate correctly where they're the ones making the decision. I was having a conversation with somebody a couple of days ago about I call it like a dealership sales pitch. Yep, your cabin filter's dirty, your brake fluid's dirty, your transmission fluid's dirty. We'll have you out of here. It's $1,800. I don't think that's.
Yeah.
I don't think we're heading into the future with that. I think that sales process, unless you're dealing with a different crowd, the pre-cell phone people. Sorry.
the pre-cell. I've never heard that one.
You were talking about that earlier.
Well, yeah, but I've never. That's a good one. I'm gonna have to use that. So
Pre-cell phone.
Pre-cell phone people.
We're alive pre-cell phone, or don't believe in cell phone.
Alive pre-cell phone.
Alive pre-cell phone. There we go.
That hurts.
Oh my
bad.
goodness.
That really hurts.
Wow.
No, but
He was talking about us.
But you make such a good point, though, right? An informed customer.
No, he doesn't make a good point.
Yes, he does. An informed customer is going to cut back on that sales approach by so much.
But I've got the Cybertruck collision repair manual on my phone.
Look at that. Wow.
See, we can grow too.
Yes.
No, but I mean, and technology is constantly making this whole customer experience better. Like the opportunities that we have as shop owners, even as coaches, right? What we can guide everybody to, all the resources we're able to share.
Do all of you, and really this is for you, but do you feel that because that EV customer this is their life, that they come to you with questions about what you're going to do with their vehicle that are much more intricate a conversation than you used to have with a standard vehicle?
A pre-cell phone.
Pre-cell phone. Okay.
That's good.
I would say for everybody except the Tesla crowd. Yes. For the Tesla crowd, in my opinion, now I told you we're kind of in the beginning of this, they bought that car under the assumption that nothing ever needed to be done. So as an industry, that's what I think we're going to have to get over. Is
very good.
My car doesn't need anything.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult.
So how does a service writer handle that?
I mean, we're still trying to figure that part out. I mean, we're going up to a shop to do a Tesla specific technician. Yeah.
All right.
It was a service advisor and technician training.
Isn't it fair to say that all manufacturers are trying to move in that direction? When you think about it, oil change intervals are longer than ever. They tell them they don't even ever have to change transmission fluid.
Yeah, lifetime fluid.
Every car in some way, shape, or form is trying to be sold as a maintenance-free or very little maintenance vehicle. Yep. So I think that maybe in the Tesla world, that's more prevalent because that's the only thing they've ever known. But I think all manufacturers are trying to head in that direction.
Well, Tesla they kind of shot themselves in the foot, right, by doing all that, because now their service centers cannot keep up. There's no phone number you can call to get a Tesla service center rep, right? There's no phone number, right? And this is part of the reason why they're opening up the ability for independent repair shops to be able to service them. And I think that's kind of where this whole industry is going to go, where all these manufacturers are trying to make it so much more maintenance free. But there's nothing that's ever going to be maintenance free.
No.
I mean, it always needs something. Your phones need something. You get dirt in your phone charging for it, won't charge anymore. Now what? Right? So there's always maintenance of some sort. And that's where, as independent repair shops, we have to be able to kind of capitalize on finding those issues and where we can stick in there. Right. And then one of the things that, I talked to a lot of members about SEO is look at your local dealerships. I mean, what are they doing? What kind of packages are they offering? Are they doing a 60,000 mile service? What are the keywords that they're targeting? Now, why don't you target the same ones? Do it on your SEO. The dealership's not doing much SEO stuff because everybody knows who the dealership is. But if you just start targeting the stuff that they're targeting, now you're going to get business that the dealership would have got otherwise. And who wants to wait? Nobody wants to wait. We talked about convenience earlier. How can we be more convenient than the dealer?
What's interesting though is on the collision side of the business, a lot of dealerships are not equipped to do things like ADAS.
Okay.
They're not set up for it. So if you're doing anything other than very light, the static, if I'm doing a static test, I got to have all that equipment. And most dealerships don't have it. Now they can do the dynamic, but there's certain, if I'm in an urban environment, I can't do it because I can't do 45 miles an hour long enough to reset things.
Oh.
And so it's becoming very, even though they're trying to specialize, the specialization is going to be a niche specification because I can only do it in certain places. That's why Congress, I don't know if you've seen this, but they're looking at not allowing all vehicles to be only dynamic calibration. They have to be able to do both.
Oh,
Yeah, because if I'm in that urban environment, I can't do the resets. So even though we're seeing all these things happening, I think it's creating other things are bubbling to the surface that if you want to specialize, this is the time to do it.
wow.
And it will last you probably for the next 10 years without any trouble.
And you're constantly adapting, right? I mean,
Sure.
The automotive industry, we are good at that, even though it sometimes might take a little bit longer. We adapt, we pivot, we course correct all the time. And I think as a specialty shop, that's something that you have to always consider.
I have several shops that we set up with ADAS, and we anticipated paying off the equipment in probably about 24 months. It's only gone about 13 before it was paid off. That's how good. And the thing is, if that dealership doesn't have the equipment, the synergies I always talk about, if the dealership doesn't have it, somebody's got to do it. So if you're a small body shop with the room out back that has ADAS equipment, or if you're in more of an area where you can have that, I think it's huge for the independent shops right now.
Wow.
And we've got that probably through 2027 that it'll be like that. I know that's only 4 years away, or maybe, but it's you're going to start seeing 2030s when you're going to start seeing the bigger changes. But you also got to remember, we're going to have a heck of a lot less EVs than they thought.
Well, ADAS is going to be, I don't know what to kind of equate it to, but ADAS is going to essentially be like a shop having an alignment machine.
Absolutely.
In 5 years. I mean,
Yep.
You're going to have to do it. I mean, even now, like we bought that equipment, from Hunter. It's good equipment. It does not do everything it says it's supposed to do. And you're not going to have people knocking down your door to do ADAS because most of the people now are not doing it.
That's
And that's the
absolutely right.
problem.
Yep.
So there is a lot of business out there, but when you can get around it with a blank post scan, you're good.
So what do you think about when you think about this transition into Tesla? You say you're just scratching the surface here. What are you looking forward to? What are you expecting to get out of it? What kind of talk about what you see coming?
I mean, I think Tesla, I mean, they're the first movers. So I think us understanding how they work and how the customer works will help us when the other manufacturers decide or don't decide to go into EV, and kind of be prepared for it. I think Tesla's going to be kind of more of an experiment in a way, because I just wonder what's like, because we started with Priuses, right? So you can sell a Prius battery for $3,000 to $4,000, still a lot of money, still affordable. I mean, with the Teslas, I mean, what are we talking? $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Yeah. I mean, who's paying for that? What happens to these cars? The same conversation we had with the Nissan Leafs. What's happening with those? Nissan won't sell us a battery. I don't even think Nissan can get the batteries. No different than Hyundai and Kia hybrids. They're 2-3 months backlogged on batteries. If you don't have a warranty claim, you're not buying a battery.
There's a lot of challenges up ahead.
Are they refurbable at this point?
I mean, I'm sure there's some shops in here that would agree that they are, but I've not seen a viable solution outside of replacing them. I mean, there's certain models that you can put a used battery in and have a decent shot, but the whole refurbished thing, we test it out every couple of years. Replacing cells, refurbishing them, trying different brands, and still the OEM one. I mean, if we preach warranty amongst ATI, I mean, you've got to put something decent in.
Well, what's the old saying? That necessity is the mother of invention, right? So two things can come out of this. One is someone could see this and go, all right, we're going to figure this out and get batteries available. And that may not be OE. Or guys are going to say, we're going to figure out how to fix them.
Yeah, let's swap them.
Because, I mean, something's got to happen at some point, unless they figure out how to get batteries readily available. But that doesn't sound like that's going to happen anytime soon.
No. I mean, Toyota and Lexus are the one company that, I know you're familiar with collision, and I'm not super familiar with this topic, but they'll match the manufacturer, like the Honda dealership will match the LKQ bumper price. Isn't that a thing for some parts?
Yeah, well, it's called, they do OEM part, it's OEM part matching, but they do, it's not really an OEM part, but it's recognized as a replacement.
Like kind quality?
No, they're trying to do away with the term. Can't remember off the top of my head, but
certified.
Certified is aftermarket. That's counterfeit.
Okay,
it's counterfeit part.
Yes.
It's been a while for me too.
But yeah, then you've got the ones that are being built under license by the OE.
Oh, but
it's a little different. It's it goes under TS 16949. It's a whole different. Like when you're looking at how they license the OE parts. So this is like a tier 2 part, but you're not getting what the OE is selling or what the OE is recommended.
But you're still getting a part at a significantly cheaper price. And I guess that's what I was getting at with the battery.
That's true.
With the batteries. It's I don't know that it's going to be a refurbished company. I really don't. I mean, it's going to be these dealerships that want to keep their cars on the road, the manufacturers. I'm sure everybody knows that we're Japanese shop, we're Toyota fanatics, but they really are doing a good job with their hybrid program. I mean, I think they're probably refurbishing them to an extent, and then sending the batteries back out there as new, or in some capacity because of cores. But their batteries they do fluctuate in price. They go up a little bit and they go down a little bit as supply and demand change. And no other company is doing that.
Yeah, the interesting thing is when you're looking at those lithium batteries, it's really a block of a lot of different batteries. So can you take that battery out or the piece that's bad and replace it? Yeah. Why not? It's not like it's a lead cell battery. This is an individual piece that's part of the grid. So could that be done? I don't see why not. But it's not being done because people aren't letting it be done. They'd rather sell a $16,000 battery.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, it's no different than like the ignition coil, or you have a car that comes in with a valve cover, leak, front crank seal, rear main seal. You replace one of them, it's going to put more pressure on the other. It's just like the ignition coil thing. And that's what's happening with the batteries. You can replace a cell, and then what do you do? Replace 2 more in 2 months, and then 2 more in 3 months? That's the problem. And we've tried it. We've done it. We do it every couple of years, but it's just, we took apart a Kia Hyundai one the other day, and, these things, I don't know if you've ever had it happened to my MacBook where I sat in my closet for too long, but the battery expanded. So when you take these cells out, they expand out. You can't put them back in. So, do that like 30, 40 times.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, and I think it
might get there one day.
might get there.
But
I just
it has
don't
to be
know
like
now.
that from factory,
Yes.
right? We can't go retroactively.
Well, the controls have to be put in place before we start. The engineering has to be done before you start putting these things out on the market. But is this somewhere I think we need to go? Yep. But we're years, probably 10 years, trying to get out of this 10 years before we should. I don't think we've done all of plus the metals that they're using, all that. In January is the first month that we've ever been able to recycle lithium batteries. So we can take all of the pieces off that we can reuse. So I love hearing from people that are thinking about, this is the direction I want to go. I want to hear about how do we get there.
And it's awesome that you guys are trying.
That's
different
great.
things. That's the great part. And because it's not cheap, first of all. So just being able to run those trial and errors, I think that's phenomenal.
When I look at a 100 amp battery, and it's $1,000,
Oh,
and now I'm looking at a 7.5 kilowatt battery. The prices are just crazy.
well, any final thoughts?
No, y'all got anything?
Well, takeaways. Let's start with takeaways.
I'm just, this is an area I'm fascinated with.
We can tell.
And I love seeing specialty shops, because I think that's going to be the future of our business. If I want to get something about my specific vehicle done, I want to take it to the people that know all about that, not go to a Johnny come lately and I don't know what I get. I want to go to somebody who's got lots of experience. So this is the kind of thing I like.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I wanted to say something earlier about it. But I think I agree with you. Everybody's going to have to specialize. I know a lot of people, and I know they make a good product. Every technician right now wants to go out and buy the Snap-on Zeus. I'm going to buy the Zeus, and I'm going to make $150,000 this year because it does everything. Well, it does a lot, and it has a purpose. But each manufacturer now you have to have their factory scan tool to do certain things. You can kind of get around it in a way, but each one of those is $1,000, $1,500.
Sure.
And it's subscription based.
It's all subscription based. And then you have to buy the tools. So, I say all that to say you pretty much have to specialize to be able to do it, because we even find challenges with it now. I think our subscription costs last year were, $10,000, $15,000 just in software.
Or you can use Opus or Aztec, have a third party using the
Opus
OEM
is
scan tool.
that's okay.
Well, it's the next best thing to having all the tools yourself. But I've got one collision shop. He bought 3 tools. I want to say it was like $175,000. And that was just to do GM, Ford, and what is it now? Stellantis.
But he's probably able to do it by spending that money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing, is that these scan tools that promise that you can do everything, you can't.
No.
Even for us to do like a calibration on a Kia or a Hyundai, we've got to use the Bosch tool sometimes, the Autel tool other times, and then the OEM software sometimes, or 2 or 3 of them together.
But that's what I mean. What you've got to do. There's so many people that don't.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
So what's the message in that? You got to get educated.
Oh, yeah.
Training.
Big time, big
It's
time.
staying involved in the industry.
And that's probably the biggest thing I'm taking away from all of this, is that it's probably scary for some people to even think about what we've been talking about here. But if you're seeing the value and the future in this, and I think you're right, Keith. I mean, the electric cars are not going to be anywhere near as populated the roads as we thought they were in the time frame that we thought. Now, eventually, will it get there? Well, that remains to be seen. But I think that when the technology gets to the point where you can charge it much faster, like putting gas in a car and going away in 3, 4, 5 minutes, when the distances go further and you can go 600, 700, 800 miles and not have to worry about a charge. Or do a quick charge for that period of time once or twice on that journey. We're a long way from that.
Sure.
And until then, we're not going to have as many of these on the road, which says to me, this is the time to get educated, experiment. And listening to what you're saying makes total sense, because this is the time to screw it up a bit, learn from it.
Yeah.
Mess up a few batteries, make a few mistakes, take some training courses, get ahead of it and be ready for it when the market is ready for you. So that's my takeaway.
Your turn.
I mean, my takeaway was kind of the software scan tool thing. But yeah, I mean, I think just as an industry, we all need to be kind of prepared for change, and be open to it. What do they say? There's a saying out there about not adapting. What is it? Adapt or die, essentially.
Yeah.
That old school mentality.
Grow or go.
That's
Probably a little more.
And my takeaway is mostly, I think, to your point, what you were talking about earlier, is you got to specialize, but don't over specialize, right? So you still, and like you also said, you got to adapt, you got to course correct. It's an ever changing industry. And I mean, yes, we can speculate as much as we want about EVs, and there's going to be a lot more hybrids out there. I mean, that seems a lot more plausible, a lot easier to do, a lot easier to implement right off the bat. And I think who knows where it's going. These manufacturers always want to do something different. We have the right to repair stuff going on. I mean, all of this software stuff that we're talking about, it's getting more and more challenging. And that's where specializing will help ease that challenge. But that's about it.
all right,
awesome.
guys.
Yeah. This is
Great
awesome.
conversation.
Yes. Thanks for having me on.
We did another successful podcast. Well, that remains to be seen. You can tell us if it was a successful podcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, especially Chris.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
coming in here and letting us pick your brain for a little while.
Yeah.
It was really good.
This is great.
Thanks to the panel. And as Kim would always say, be kind to each other and make good choices.